Hi all, it's uh 8 o'clock in Japan time, so may I start? Can I start it? Okay. Nana sensei, could you end the share screen? Thank you. So,
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
good
Hi.
morning. Hello everyone. It is time to begin. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Fumi from PCIT Japan. I will serve as, as the moderator today, together with Dr. Nana Hosogane from Japan. So we are very happy to have you here. Before we begin, I would like to share a few announcements. So today we are using Zoom webinar system. If you have questions about the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you have comments or questions not related to the presentations, please use the chat. And closed captions are available. You can turn them on or off by clicking Show Hide Caption at the bottom of your screen. This conference is being recorded and the video will be available for 1 month. Okay, then, so now we would like to begin with the opening remarks. We are honored to invite Dr. Toshiko Kamo, chair of this conference and a board member of PCIT Japan. So, Dr. Kamo, please go ahead.
Hi all. Good morning. Thank you for gathering here today for the PCIT International Mini-Conference. We are very deeply honored to host the first mini-conference in the Asia Oceania region. A member of the International Development Task Force have held numerous meetings and consultations leading up this day. We are very much looking forward to spending the next 5 hours with you all. So then first, to begin the program, Dr. Larissa Niec will deliver the opening remark and provide information about the PCIT International Association. Now please, Dr. Larissa, start it.
Sure. Good day, everyone. Good morning if you are in the Eastern Hemisphere. And I'm very honored to once again be able to open our international mini conference here and welcome you all. We were very lucky to be able to have our first international mini conference in April of this year, which focused on a lot of our PCITers in Europe. So we then had Finland, France, Norway, Switzerland, Germany, Iran, the Netherlands as well, all represented. And very glad to be ending our year with our Asia and Oceania mini conference and welcome our presenters from Australia, China, Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, New Zealand, and Taiwan. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for being here to support the great work that's going on globally with PCIT. As president of PCIT International, I also wanted to just let you know a few things that have been going on. We've been doing a lot of work this year in 2025. And there's not time for me to talk about all of the things we've been working on, But there are three things I just want to bring to your attention in case you haven't got them on your radar yet. So the first thing is that earlier this year, we released a new website. It is beautiful, updated, much more modern, and is meant to really support the needs of parents who are looking for information about PCIT and those who might be looking for training. So that's why we've moved our therapist and trainer focused resources into Basecamp. And I think by now most of you are on Basecamp, but if not, I'd really encourage you to get signed up, get a Basecamp account. It is free because PCIT International is storing many different resources for therapists and trainers on Basecamp in the PCIT International camp. So please let us know if you are not yet there. Sign up so that you can benefit from all the resources there. But with our new website, I'm gonna share just for a moment. With our new website, we have an updated provider map, and it is pretty fun and fancy. And I wanted to just put this up for everyone to see because one of the things that's so nice about this new provider map is that you can search by country. So I just pulled up Japan here, and it is just lovely and amazing to see all of those little orange dots noting so many certified PCITers in Japan. We can also see here in South Korea, and if we pull a little farther out, oops, we will start to pick up from Australia as well. So if you haven't spent some time with the new website, please do. This is also where you can find providers by state, by country, and great resources for parents. So new website. Another thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, if you were not aware yet, we are moving all of our manuals so that they can be available digitally. So you will order manuals by connecting on Basecamp or via email to our web store. And if you are certified by PCIT International, then you will be able to get your manuals, and those will be available for you then digitally on an e-reader device or on your laptop or computer. People have been talking for many years about trying to get our manuals digitally available, and so we're really excited that this is possible now. That means for all of you who have previously had to order manuals from the US, wait for them to come, wait for them to go through customs, pay for customs, that is no longer you no longer have to do that. So very excited to make those manuals more accessible to you internationally. And then finally, last but not least, before we open up the conference, I wanted to draw your attention to the upcoming full 3-day international convention that will be in 2026 from September 16th through the 18th. And hoping that many of you who are presenting today will get the chance to present in September as well. So please look for those announcements on Basecamp. The call for presentations has already gone out, and those are due in January. So if you're interested in presenting in our full 3-day convention in September, make sure you get your proposals in January. Again, thank you everybody for being here. It's always really my deep honor to be able to open these conferences and hear about the great PCIT work that's going on internationally. Thank you so much, and I will see you later.
Thank you very much, Larissa, for your warm welcome message and the important from important updates from PCIT International. Now, we will begin the main program of the conference. Our first block includes 4 presentations, and each presentation will be 20 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for Q&A. We are pleased to have Dr. Yi-Chuen Chen from Taiwan
Hi, everybody.
as the chair for this first block. Vivian, thank you very much for leading this session today. The floor is yours.
Thank you for introducing me. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Yi-Chuen Chen, also known as Vivian. I'm honored to chair the first block of the presentation at today's conference. We will have 4 presentations, and which was 20 minutes, followed by 5 minutes of Q&A. If you have any question, please type them in the Q&A text box. So now it's my pleasure to, by the way, I want to remind you, so I will monitor the time, so when there is 1 minute remaining, I will click on the response, the signal here. Let me try to do this. And okay, I will send you the hot signal. So in each presentation, so so just remind you 1 minute there. Okay. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Lucy Rabbit and Linda Lenny from Australia. So now, Lucy and Linda, you may begin your presentation with us.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I'm just going to bring my screen up. Can everyone see that? You can just get a thumbs up because I can't actually see a lot of people, but yes, I can see Linda's up. Amazing. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you may be in the world. We really wanted to thank PCIT Japan for organising and hosting this event. It is wonderful to see so many people here already. I'm seeing those numbers go up, so that's really wonderful to see such a great participation. My name's Lucy Rabbet. I'm a registered psychologist, and my colleague Linda Lenny is a social worker, and we are both regional trainers from Sydney, Australia. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands we are both on this morning. So I am on Camaragal land, and this is the land that sits just north of Sydney Harbour. Linda Lenny is on Darug land, which forms most of the western part of Sydney. Today, we wanted to talk about the PCIT toddler model and how we're now using it as a pathway for early intervention. We really wanted to thank Jane Kolhoff, our fellow regional trainer, who has graciously assisted us with the information we're going to talk about today and has been leading most of the research for our group interventions. We also wanted to thank Sue Morgan, who is here with us today. She has been a champion and a leader in all things PCIT and PCIT toddler in Australia, and has been involved in all of this research and facilitating many of the groups that we will talk about. So today our plan is to talk about the previous research of PCIT toddler. We'll spend a little bit of time on that, but really we wanted to focus on how we're developing the PCIT model into groups to target a wider audience, and also to bring PCIT toddler to different cultural groups within our community. We also wanted to briefly show some of our new videos, which is how we're going to plan to disseminate PCIT concepts to actually the broader population. So over the past years, looking at PCIT in Australia, we now have more than 35 certified therapists. We have a number of within agency trainers, And now we've also got several regional trainers, which we're very proud about. We are also proud about the research that's coming out of Australia, and this is often in collaboration with teams across the world. We wanted to also recognise the work that Eva Kimonis and Georgie Fleming have done in PCIT and the work specifically around callous and emotional traits. Jessica Warren is another champion of PCIT in Australia, and she has been working specifically with children in the child protection system who have experienced trauma. But today our focus is on PCIT toddler, and as I said, how we're introducing this as a wider set of programs for a general population. Let me just go to the next slide. So briefly about our organisation, Karatani. So we are funded by our state health service and have been providing support to families since 1923. Karatani as a whole does include a range of services to assist families and children between the ages of 0 to 5 years, so really that early intervention space. We have services to help with sleep and settling and feeding and mental health support for new parents. The Toddler Clinic is just one program that sits within this organisation, and the Toddler Clinic specifically works using PCIT and PCIT models for intervention. I'll hand over to Linda now.
So as we all know, those early toddler years are such a critical time for brain development and for setting children on pathways for good social, emotional well-being and mental health. In the state that we cover, New South Wales, we've been guided by policy frameworks such as the National Children's Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy and the Brighter Beginnings First 2000 Days Health Initiative, which really both emphasise that the early toddler years is an optimal time for prevention-focused mental health promotion. In its original form, PCIT Toddler is a program for families with additional needs. It's delivered as a one-on-one program by highly trained clinicians with families who have typically been referred by a health professional. Many of you will be familiar with our previous presentations on the effectiveness of individual PCIT delivered to children under 24 months old who have, where we've presented previously. In our model of care, this is seen as a specialised service and targets families that may need more intensive intervention. For instance, families that may have psychosocial vulnerabilities that require additional support. So PCIT Toddler would sit at the top of this pyramid that we're showing you. And this has been established with our Brighter Beginnings framework. But with this framework in mind, we wanted to think about how we could reach even more families. And in this case, we've then looked at the second level. So this is on our next slide with the second level. Families that may not yet have developed this intensive need, but we're giving them additional support at this point may prevent the potential risk factors from escalating. This was also in the context of knowing that our waiting lists for individual standard PCIT and PCIT Toddler were continuing to grow, but our clinical workforce was not growing at all. This led us to the idea of delivering group PCIT to reach these families in the middle. The first group format we wanted to talk about today is the My Toddler and Me group. And again, so happy to see Sue Morgan in the audience today because she was really the person who facilitated all of these groups. The My Toddler and Me group was developed by the PCIT trainers, including Sue and Jane, and a facilitator manual was developed. It's facilitated by trained clinicians who have done the 5-day PCIT toddler training with at least one case to completion And they've also done a half-day My Toddler and Me group program training workshop. And then they co-facilitate with the trainer before facilitating the group. The program consists of 8 1.5 weekly group-based sessions, and both the parent and the toddler attend each week. The aim is to target families that would present with those low to moderate risk factors. For instance, where they may have some parental depression or anxiety symptoms, but they would not be presenting in crisis or with active child safety risk issues. For the pilot, the families were recruited through Karitani Early Parenting Services, the local community-based services, and through social media. As I said, they did not necessarily present with clinical issues. Many of the mothers and fathers that attended were from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. The countries of birth included Latvia, China, Brazil, Lithuania, the United Kingdom, and Australia. We had 32 caregivers completed the program in the pilot across 5 groups, and we had 19 complete the pre and post measures. And as you can see in the table, the group includes discussion, didactic teaching of the toddler skills, coaching, and role modelling of the skills. The facilitator acts as the secure base for the group. Parents are expected to practice the skills daily with special time homework, and there's a check-in component each week to discuss their homework and their care skills. As demonstrated from the pilot study, there were 19 responses recorded. We did see increases in parents' empathy and understanding of their child, increases in the parents' ability to express affection and manage their child's emotions, increases in the parents mentalizing about their child, increases in the child's social emotional abilities, and a reduction in parents' sense of helplessness when dealing with their child. We also obtained qualitative feedback and found that the participants valued the program structure, the accessibility, and the group format. They found the content useful. They found the facilitators supportive and knowledgeable, and they felt it was a safe space to share and learn from other caregivers. And I like the quote here. The great thing about this is the kids are there and we put into practice what we learn, and then we have someone telling us, great job, or maybe you can try these, maybe you can try that. You know, some guidance, and I haven't got that anywhere else. The parents and caregivers also did identify positive changes for their toddlers, such as being able to share more with other children. They also spoke of positive changes in their relationship with their child, such as enjoying their child more. The quote there, we enjoy our toddler now, before it was a challenge. Importantly, the participants did also identify aspects of the program for improvement, including refining the program structure or delivery, for example, the venue of the group. Another suggestion was to have more time for the group members to connect with each other, and this was then changed into the structure of the group, where there was time at the end for some informal play and talk between the participants. And we also established a WhatsApp group for the parents, the facilitators, to share written material from the group, but also for the parents to connect with each other with their consent, of course. Following on from the initial pilot study, we were then able to commence an RCT, which we're currently still completing. We are delivering My Toddler and Me groups at 4 sites across metropolitan Sydney, with a goal of recruiting 180 participants. We're up to 156, of which I think Sue has probably seen the majority of those families. Dyads are randomly allocated to an immediate start or a waitlist control group. And as we're still completing this RCT, we're still in the process of gathering the data and hope to present this in the future.
So I'm now going to speak about a new project, which is our Vietnamese-speaking PCIT group. So in 2023, we were lucky enough to win a grant for strengthening early years. So PCIT Toddler really fitted wonderfully into this grant agreement. The idea of this project was that we would adapt the materials from the My Toddler and Me group into a shorter 5-week program aimed at introducing the PCIT toddler play skills and the care skills to families, while also really assisting with a better sense of connection to the community. Children are present in these groups, but because it is a psychoeducation group delivered by more general health educators versus PCIT trained clinicians, there was no coaching involved in these groups, and childcare was available within the room set up to assist with parents having that space and capacity to receive the information. So Karatani sits within one of the highest culturally and linguistically diverse areas in all of Australia. We know that families with low confidence in spoken English are less likely to access our service. And we know that standard PCIT and PCIT-T program isn't suited to delivery via an interpreter. So really a lot of the families in our local community weren't able to access the majority of our services until this program. To date, we have run 5 programs with really great success. So our first 2 programs, we were sitting at 10 and 11 registered families. We had amazing participation and retention rates from these groups. And we've run 3 subsequent groups. Unfortunately, those groups are smaller, and that's only because we've had to cap the numbers due to building renovations at our service. But overall, we're seeing a really high engagement level, high community interest, and we're also seeing families bring in extended members of their family to these groups, such as aunts and grandparents, and we've seen some dads as well, which is really great. So unfortunately, we don't have any quantitative data to present today, as we are getting that analysed as we speak. We do have over 35 pre and post measures for analysis, so we're really excited to hopefully present that in the PCIT convention in 2026. So just briefly with the quantitative data, we have used a number of measures such as Me as a Parent, which measures parent confidence. We have measured we're looking at the personal wellbeing index, so how parents are feeling in themselves. And we've also used the composite caregiving questionnaire, which measures things like self-efficacy, how they feel in managing their child's emotions, and also perceived hostility towards their children. So we're really hoping to see some changes on those measures. We do, however, have some qualitative data that has been translated. So that is what I'm going to present today. And there has been some themes emerging already from the information we have. So certainly the emerging theme around better connections with their child. So there's a quote partway down there. My child has become happier because I've learned how to recognize his emotions, to help him express his behavior and now respond to his needs in a timely manner. There was also some themes around the importance of evidence-based therapy, which as a researcher and a clinician, I love when families are able to recognise this importance. So those last 2 quotes there recognise the expertise of the staff, the group facilitators, the research. And that last quote, the program is well studied in child development It helps me to understand and develop more effective strategies for myself and my child. All right. So there was some qualitative data on what could be improved as well. So at the moment, we only run this Vietnamese speaking program out of one of our locations. So this can be quite far for families to travel. The first group was actually a 4-week group, and similar to the My Toddler and Me program, the feedback we got was that it felt too short, and we added another week from the second rotation of this group, where we brought all of the information together and families could discuss how they were going to utilise the skills that they had received into varying aspects of daily life with their children. The third comment we had was around the repetition of information. Now, this was interesting because the My Toddler and Me and this Vietnamese speaking group was designed for that effect, that we know that when children in the room, information can be missed with, with attending to them. So the plan is each week that we repeat and build on the information that was discussed in the previous week. But that is something to consider, that maybe we're doing that a little too much. I've seen that heart go up. So the last thing, we're not going to have time to show the videos, but I'll show you the QR code that you can see in your own time. I really briefly wanted to discuss this last little aspect of our pyramid, and this is how we share our skills with and disseminate to a wider community and incorporate the PCIT concepts for all parents. So recently, and Sue has again been involved in this project, the My Toddler and Me video series, we have developed 4 videos to share and disseminate information on how to play with your child, how to connect with their feelings, and how parents can care for themselves. These videos have been translated into Arabic, Vietnamese, and Mandarin as well. So these are the QR codes. You can use your phone to look at these videos. And I'm happy to share them if you would like to email Linda or myself as well. You can also find them on YouTube if you Google My Toddler and Me videos. I think we're out of time, but thank you everyone for listening, and we're happy to answer any questions.
And thank you, Ruthie and Linda, for your excellent presentation regarding your experience to deliver PCIT in Australia. And then now we will move on to take the Q&A. So please type in your question in the Q&A box if you have any question. So I haven't seen any questions submitted yet. So if we don't have any question, we will move on to the next presentation. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our second presenters, Tanya Cargo from New Zealand. So Tanya. Oh, okay. So now I will turn it over to Tanya. So, okay, you may begin your presentation now.
Thanks. Can I share my screen? Great. Hopefully, can people see that?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right. Our national greeting is tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi aroha kia koutou, mō tō tīmata o a tātou kōrero. So I've just said welcome, a warm welcome from New Zealand, from our Indigenous people as Māori. We're the Indigenous people of New Zealand. And it's my pleasure to talk to you a little bit about what we've been trialling out this year, and hoping to look at developing a larger piece of research for next year. So just a reminder, the first slide kind of shows you where we are in the world. Close neighbours with Sue and her team, and Linda. But there is a little bit of swimming distance between, and we are very, very close friends, and have known each other for some time. The piece that I'm going to talk to you today really is about the fact that New Zealand has, we now have 100 trained PCIT clinicians. Gosh, it's not many, is it, when I think about it, but it is for our little country, which now means, and in the last year we had 25 of those trained through one of our specialist services for care and protection. Care and protection in New Zealand is run by the New Zealand government, and so we now have 25 new trainees, thanks to the beautiful work of Gemma Tricklebank and Juliet Pinada, who are within agency trainers. We now have 16 is the number of our regions that we have in New Zealand that have hospital services and regional care and protection services. And we have 4 within agency trainers across New Zealand. And then we have 1 Indigenous clinic that we set up this year, and that's in a town in the Waikato with our Waikato Tainui tribal team. So I'm going to talk to you about that clinic in particular because as a Māori clinical psychologist and the director of the University of Auckland Clinical Training Program, we very much have a equity approach. So New Zealand's psychologists, Māori psychologists, make up less than 5% of the psychology workforce. So our clinic, our training agency, has made a what's the word I'm looking for? We've made a commitment that at least half of our trainees every year will be Māori, and so that has led to a slight increase in the numbers that we're seeing coming through. So we have 14 in our program, and so up to 7 of those places are held for Māori students who meet criteria. Given that, we need to be able to provide our students with interventions that are going to be useful for them. And so we enabled our trainees in their last year, their internships, to get the PCIT training. And then we built a relationship with the iwi provider, and together we decided that we would trial a clinic for PCIT, and we made the decision based on who the clinic saw to focus on the older child protocol, knowing that the evidence isn't there yet, but it is coming, and we also wanted to be a part of that generation of evidence. And so the kind of focus that we have really is around equity and access, and being able to make sure that whatever we were producing was going to be able to provide our families not only with the skills that PCIT delivers, but they have to be able to live as Māori. We wanted them to kind of know who they were. They wanted to be able to parent, but also recognize that the way in which they parent is very much values-based. And some of the kind of learnings that we had along the way is we've got a little tiny clinic. We've only got 3 clinicians in the clinic, and they, along with myself as a supervisor, we co-share the cases. So the families that they've seen there, they are their first families, and they were seeing them alongside, supporting each other. The biggest kind of help for the older child protocol was obviously the website that's been developed by Cheryl and her team, and the 2 texts that we've also, when we do the training, we allow the students access to, have also been helpful. What we kind of found was that it was very helpful to have done the standard PCIT protocol first, to have a very good understanding of relationship. The other thing that was really important in working with the small group of as a pilot study was to be able to work together as a team. And the probably the most important thing, you'll see the symbol here is our traditional whare, and that really just symbolised that our values as Māori needed to be the foundation. So those needed to be the things that we built, if you like, the whenua that we built, those other warm relational and attachment skills from. So those are important messages for our whānau to have alongside who they were. And so the cultural adaptations really are around the philosophical and value structures that are foundational to what we call kaupapa Māori, which means to be able to live as Māori in New Zealand, and to not have a sense that being Māori is any less. So it's that ability to be able to live and parent where your culture is at the forefront and not something that needs to be hidden. So they were encouraged to use their own language. They were encouraged to do some of our important protocols or kawa that come out of these values here. The first value that we kind of always have is manaakitanga, and manaakitanga, mana ake, means to uplift the well-being or the life and ethos of each independent person who represents the whānau. So that was quite nicely aligned with the PCIT pride skills. Whanaungatanga here means to treat everybody as if they are your family. So as soon as they entered into the clinic, that was the expectation, that you'd become part of the whānau clinic. Kotahitanga, again, I think kind of really resonates really well with PCIT kind of ideologies and philosophies, and that's about working together on set goals and having that sense of being and working together. And the last one is arohatanga, and this aroha means love, and in this context it means to help the whānau find their own love for each other. So parent for child, child for parent, again, fitting really nicely with PCIT philosophies as well. So it was kind of a really easy adaptation to make to align with the older child protocol. What we kind of also have in our culture, we have a strong belief in what we call tuakana taina relationships. And so this is the idea, again, I think it fits well with PCIT, where the therapist or the coach will also learn something from the families, and the families will learn something from the coach. The children will learn something from their parents, and the parents will learn something from their coach. So much less this idea of a teacher who delivers something in a kind of one-way trajectory to the learner, but so less of this kind of model and more of this kind of model. And that also meant that we were able to ensure that our new trainees were able to help each other, that I was able to help the trainees. And as we all know, that's the best place to be because trainees teach you a lot, and our families are really where we get where we develop our skills and where we develop our aroha ki te tangata, or our love for doing this work with people. So some of the celebrations, I'll talk about those first. Some of the celebrations are obviously we all, we're kind of converted, aren't we? We're kind of doing this work more because we love it. And so did our psychology interns. They loved the fact that, the tamariki, the children would come into the clinic wanting to be there. They did enjoy being able and could see the difference in having that initial meeting time with the children themselves, and also with the parents. So there was a sense that both sides, there was a balance in the relationship. And the whānau also enjoyed it. They found it challenging. And one of the adaptations that we did is that all of the three whānau we're seeing together, they had the teach sessions together. And that is because in our culture, learning is a collective thing rather than an individual. So while they had individual coaching, they came together for the teach sessions. And that was something that when I'd done my own research 10 years ago, that was definitely something that whānau were absolutely clear needed to happen. They needed to have a sense that they weren't on their own, that there were other Māori who also had these challenges and difficulties. And it was just another way of seeing tuakana teina, where two of the mama had really similar experiences, another had a different experience, but they could learn from each other. So it was really nice to be able to hold them in that space of learning, and in terms of being able to hold the equitable pieces in the relationship as well. So the rationale really for using the older protocol was because we have Māori whānau, Māori wahine women tend to have twice as many children in their care than our majority non-Māori whānau or our Pākehā Western families. And so many of them would have between 4 and 6 in their families rather than 2 or 3. And so it made sense to be able to help the mama to be able to have one set of skills that they were learning rather than several. It also meant that they could bring all of their tamariki to one service, and it enabled us to learn what the reality is for that group that's often missing. So there's kind of the group, there's great stuff for littlies, great stuff for the sort of in-betweens, the up to 8s, but that 8 to 10 space was kind of really lacking. And so it gave us that opportunity to explore with families types of things that they wanted to see more of. So the next steps, obviously, we need more research. So that's the first step, is kind of working alongside to get some funding. Many of our families who come into the Indigenous clinic have a variety of challenges, and their tamariki have lots of ACEs, or we call them MACEs, Māori ACEs, and so those are challenging environments. So that piece of research with our we've now got a little website that we're developing. We're in the hopefully by next year we will have a board for PCIT Aotearoa, so that we can generate some funding and create some resources that are specific for our Indigenous culture. And we've got Mel Woodfield, who's a phenomenal colleague, and she has agreed, she might even be on here, but she's agreed that she's going to be kind of our research go-to person. Once we've kind of got the research piece, we really then want to be able to make sure that anything that we do is bilingual. And by having the bilingual focus, it really does support our bicultural perspective here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So, yeah, just a busy year this year, and we've got a great little team who tries to keep the passion going. And so I think we've got kind of a team that tends to be able to have the ongoing support of some amazing people. Cheryl's been amazing by being, coming to our interest group and presenting. And many of the other PCIT friends in our network have also done that. So that's just a little bit about where New Zealand's up to. We will be looking at documenting the changes, the cultural adaptations we've made, which also means that we've included obviously our own cultural identity. We want to make sure that at the end of this, they feel, at least as in line with their culture as they did when they entered into the program, alongside those behavioural changes and relational changes that we expect to see. So that's kind of us. Yeah, I hope you have a good Christmas. This is our Christmas tree. It's full of birds in New Zealand. It's a puhutikawa and it grows on our beautiful beaches. Back to you, Vivian.
Okay. Thank you for Tania for sharing the cultural adaptation of deliver the PCIT older child experience in New Zealand. It's so interesting. And now we will move on to taking the Q&A. So we will move on to the Q&A. So please type your question in the Q&A box along with your name and the country or area. So actually I saw the one question and from the Yugo, and she asked how much did it cost to make the video. I'm wondering about this question is for the Lucy Linda's presentation. Yeah, because the final slides, I think you show some link for the video, right? So
yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I know that we did receive several grants, and it was quite a long process in terms of developing the videos. I think Jane Kohlhoff, I can share her email, that she would probably be the best person to contact that. I know Japan's expressed some interest in having some Japanese translated into Japanese. But yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the specifics on that, unless you do, Linda or Sue.
Oh, I just, as you mentioned, that we did receive some grants for it, but I'm unsure of the cost.
Okay. So okay. And actually I got a chance to take a look at the video. I think it's very interesting and very helpful. So that's great video.
Yeah, they are lovely videos.
Yeah. So okay. So right now we don't have any other question. So now let's move on to the next presentation. Next, I would like to introduce our next presenter, Jen Shuhua from Hong Kong. And so Jen, please, you may begin your presentation now. So
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, good. Let's wait a moment. I would like to show the PowerPoint slide? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
And now it's not full screen yet, so you probably need to click on the full screen.
Okay, I try again.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. It seems like I can't show the full screen. Is it also fine for showing the PowerPoint slide in this way?
Let me see. Okay. Okay. So I think I can
Let
see
me.
it, but okay, if you feel comfortable, but you can click on. Can you see the right how to say right button? There's let me see, but I cannot see your screen, so let me see. I mean, like on the screen, I cannot see your PowerPoint slide actually on the right, the button. You can have the button could click on the full screen, and yeah. So can you see it on
Right,
your
that seems
screen? Let me see. Okay. How about, let me see. Okay, let me try to do it. Okay. I think I have your presentation slide. So do you mind how to say it?
sure,
I
sure,
played a video, I played a slide for you.
sure. I stop sharing first.
Okay. Let me do it. Hold on a second. And let me share the screen and doing this. And then I do this. Hold on a second. Okay. Can you see the screen? The full screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. So when you want to move to the next slide, just let me know. You just say this, and I will move
Okay, thank you.
to the
Thank you
next slide.
very much, Vivian.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Jane from Hong Kong, and I have started my PCIT training since 2008, and was registered as a within agency trainer in 2016. And I'm now still active in PCIT work, and now currently I coach few social workers pursuing PCIT therapist registration. And I'm a registered social worker, and I'm currently responsible for offer PCIT training in my agency. I briefly to the contents of today's presentations. Right, next page. I'd like to introduce the milestone of PCIT developments in my agency, Tongwa Group of Hospital in Hong Kong. And second, I would like to share more about how we integrate PCIT into Chinese family context, especially in Hong Kong, and how PCIT impacts in Hong Kong society, and uh, finally, how we expand PCIT across formats and populations in the society. Next page, please. Yeah, I also want to introduce my agency, which is Donghua Group of Hospital in Hong Kong, which is one of the largest charitable organization in Hong Kong. We have a long tradition of serving families and children through health, education, and community services. We have more than 1,000 social workers, psychologists, and other professionals working in different services. Since the early 2000s, Donghua Group of Hospital has pioneered the use of PCIT in Hong Kong. And over the past 2 decades, we have delivered PCIT standard 5-day training to more than 100 professionals, though very few of them pursuing the PCIT therapist registration because not many social workers complete their master degree and meet the requirement of PCIT registration. So I would like to show you the milestone of PCIT development in our agency. In 2004, we found that it lacked an effective parenting approach in Hong Kong. Thus, we sought support from Dr. Sheila Albert. We invited her coming to Hong Kong for sharing the approach. And later, we visited the care center in California and the University of Florida for a formal PCIT training. And the PCIT service was launched in 2008 in Hong Kong, aiming to prevent child abuse and negative parenting practice in the society. And the project implemented in 9 service spots in Hong Kong to provide the service. So over the decades, over 2,000 parent-child dietes received PCIT from our agency. We conduct PCIT in community centers, and all family came to us falling into ECBI clinical range. And our next milestone is from 2009, we conduct PCIT local study. And there we have completed 5 PCIT local studies, and 3 of them are published in international journal. We collaborated with local academics to conduct the researches. And in 2016, we got support from few master trainers like Dr. Robin Gurridge and Dr. Cheryl Manel. We have our own within agency trainer. Excepting, we have 2 PCIT trainers and more than 40 professionals have received PCIT, which is who are still active in practicing PCIT in the agency. And the last one, we continuously expand PCIT to other populations and formats, such as we developed internet-based PCIT, and we got support from Dr. Kirst from Germany for children, PCIT for children with selective mutism. And we are now practicing PCIT in some school and utilize it in home visit program for child protection service delivered, supported by Hong Kong government. Next page, please. Yeah, here I show some valuable photos we took with Dr. Sheila Albert and a few PCIT trainers. Next page, please. Yeah, here are some, we thank all of these overseas trainers. And at the bottom are 2 trainers, two professors in the University of Hong Kong who cooperate with us for the research we conducted. Next page, please. Yeah, here show the reports we publish and some journal articles I will introduce later in these presentations. Yeah. Next page, please. So this part, I will talk about integrating PCIT into Chinese family context. First, let's look at some cultural characteristics in Hong Kong. The majority of families here are Chinese, and traditionally, parenting in Chinese families in authority-based children are expected to obey their parents, and parents often feel they have the right to use strict discipline. In fact, corporal punishment has been quite common in Hong Kong. And second, there is a strong emphasis on academic and behavior performance in our society. So parents place great importance on children's achievement and proper behavior. However, this sometimes means less attention to given to children's play and the need for guidance in everyday interactions. Yeah, next page. Yeah, you can click one more. Yeah. So due to these cultural needs, the needs of society, we launched a territory-wide child abuse prevention project using PCIT. The project began in 2004 in 2 districts, and by 2008 it expanded to 9 service sites, including satellite centers across Hong Kong. Our goal was to provide accessible support to families with children aged 2 to 7 and to tackle the pressing issues of child abuse in Hong Kong. Yes, next page, please. Let me show more brief information on physical child abuse in Hong Kong. I show the statistic of 2024, which is the nearest one I can find. There were 595, almost 600 reported cases of physical abuse. At first glance, this number may not seem very high. However, local surveys reveal a much more concerning picture. Yeah, according to 2015 local study, 10% children were punished physically on a weekly basis, and 5% endure physical punishment daily. Another study in 2005, which is 20 years before, estimate that there are 70,000 students suffered from severe violence by their parents within a single year. So these figures, next page, please. Click, please. This figure highlights a critical issue. While only a small number of cases are officially reported, we believe that up to 99% remain hidden. This gap between reported cases and actual experience underscore the urgent need for stronger prevention and intervention and support system to protect children in our society. So next page, please. When integrating PCIT into Chinese family context, we found that no specific cultural adaptations were required. However, several modifications were important to ensure the effectiveness. So first, we devoted longer engagement time with parents to explain the importance of daily play and balancing it with homework. We also emphasized culturally appropriate forms of appreciation rather than some overt verbal praise, which may feel less natural in some families. Second, we provided more coaching sessions for live practice and offered detailed explanation about the purpose and benefits of the child-led phase. This helped parents understand how to balance the traditional role of authority while also fostering a warmth and responsiveness through the PCIT price skill and other strategies. And finally, one of our key visions of PCIT intervention in Hong Kong was to reduce the use of corporal punishment by guiding parents towards positive discipline and responsive interactions. We hope that we can strengthen family relationships and promote the child development, become more healthier. Next page, please. Here shows some service part in Hong Kong. This is one of our treatment room, and we have standard time-out room equipped. Next page, please. Yeah, here are some one more photo for the coaching process. Right. Next page, please. Yeah, and we have some service part in integrated family centers and children and youth centers. Here show some service part in our nursery school because it is a standard nursery school and don't have standard PCIT equipped, so we have mobile setting for practicing PCIT with the school students and their parents. Yeah, I would like to highlight some impact of PCIT in Hong Kong society in this part. I collaborated with two academics, including Dr. Xin Filan and Dr. Sandra Zhang. We conducted several important local researches and a CRT research with more than 100 parent-child diets to examine PCIT efficacy with Chinese family was conducted in 2012. The results was very encouraging, demonstrated PCIT proven to be an effective treatment for families struggling with corporal punishment, high parenting stress, and having difficulties in dealing with their children. It also showed positive outcomes for children with special needs, including ADHD, ASD, and learning difficulties. These findings were published in the journal Research on Social Work Practice. Yes, next page, please. And I would like to share with you in particular more detail of the findings of our efficacy study of PCIT with children diagnosed with ADHD, which we conducted almost 10 years ago. But this is very important research in Hong Kong, so I would like to share with you. We conducted RCT involving 64 parent-child pairs with children diagnosed in ADHD or features. And the study was designed to test the impacts on behavioral and attention problems and parenting stress and negative parenting practice. Yeah, the results were also very encouraging and show that PCIT is we can effectively reduce children's behavior and attention problems and lowered parenting stress and negative emotions. Right. Next page, please. Yeah. So we have two groups, intervention group and control group. Next page. Yeah. We have used data analysis method. Next page, please. The reliability estimated about 0.70 for all measures except CBCI attention problems. Next page, please. Okay, we here show the overall success rate was 78.1%, which means they can complete PCIT treatment complete with all mastery of the skills and ECBI under 131. Yeah. Okay, this chart illustrated the impact of PCIT on child behavior across 5 categories of PCIT intensity and problem, and CBCL attention problems, internalizing problems, and externalizing problems. There is a very clear reduction in score after PCIT, and this indicates significant improvement in child behavior, attention, emotional regulation after receiving PCIT for children with ADHD. And this result also demonstrate that PCIT not only reduce problematic behaviors, but also help parents to manage their stress. Next page, please. Yeah, the slide shows the impact of our intervention on parenting stress. So you can see the PSI score was significantly reduced in the intervention group. Yeah. Next page, please. Yeah, this slide shows changes in parent-child interactions behavior from pre-post intervention. We use depicts codes as well, and the change in couple punishment. You can see all the depict shows significant improvement in post interventions, and the couple punishment was significantly reduced after the interventions. Yeah. Taken together, the result shows that the program not only increased positive parenting skill, but also meaningfully reduced harsh and couple punishment practice. Yeah, here show the changes in children's behavior status using the EZBI. This finding indicates that the intervention led to large and clinically meaningfully improvement in both the severity of disruptive behaviors and the extent to which parents perceive this behavior as a problem. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, there is a marked reduction in the PCIT intensity and problem score following the interventions. For the ECBI intensity, which drops from around 160 to 110. Yeah, next page, please. Yes, this graph illustrates the sustained impact of our intervention across five time points. 3 time points, including 3-month follow-ups after the post-interventions, which is called booster section. Yes, next page, please. Yeah, this finding underscore I'll show the maintenance of gains. Next page, please. It shows the depicts performance for 4 points, 4 time points. Yeah, in 2023, we have conducted an other efficacy study, evaluate internet-based PCIT for children aged 2 to 8 with behavioral challenges using RCT. The findings also underscore that IPCIT is effective for improving child behavior as well as same as that the standard PCIT we conduct face-to-face. Yeah. So we are also thinking about how to expand PCIT in our society. We have successfully expanded across some formats and populations. Adaptation, we adapt PCIT for selective medicine, and we tried internet-based PCIT for remote access. And it is especially important because between COVID, the period that we have COVID, we can't see the parent-child face to face directly. So IPCIT was very important in that period of time. Yeah, and we are also exploring to develop PCIT toddler for children. We have already prepared a center for serving children between 0 to 3 years old, and PCIT toddler will be a very important treatment model which we will use. Yeah, and we also integrate the PCIT in a home visit programs for families affected by child abuse, because we have got the government funding to implement the home visitations program to some established child abuse families. So PCIT could be very good utilized in this family service. Okay, that's all for my presentations, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Jean, for your excellent presentation and share with us about the important PCIT outcome research in Hong Kong. Yeah, and so now we will move on the Q&A, and let me start sharing and see. So please type your question in the Q&A text box, and along with your name and the country or area. And right now I don't see any question yet. So okay. So if we don't have any question, then we will move on to the next presentation. Okay. Finally, I'm pleased to introduce our last presenter for this block, Uni Ri from South Korea. So Uni, please begin your presentation with us.
Thank you. Let me prepare the slide. I did practice sharing. It's not working as I planned. So just give me a minute. Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. I know you've been listening to all the presentation, and after this presentation, you will have a break. So that's a hope. My name is Uni Ri. I'm a PCIT regional trainer in Korea. I teach at Torch Trinity Graduate University, and I do PCIT at our counseling center in Seoul. It is truly a privilege to share with you today how PCIT has developed in Korea and how the evidence base has grown and how we are working to build a stronger PCIT community. Let me briefly walk you through the outline. I will start with a broader mental health context for children in Korea. And because it's understanding of the Korean children is a must to offer PCIT, and you can see how PCIT has gained so much recognition. And next, I will share a brief review of evidence-based treatment for disruptive behaviors in Korea and highlighting the gaps in the available services. Then I will describe how PCIT was introduced and expanded, including the development of PCIT Korea and our training efforts. And finally, I will walk through research trends and discuss future directions for strengthening PCIT in Korea. So to understand the Korean context, I want to briefly highlight the mental health status of children in Korea. And for the first time, Korea now has the national data, specifically examining children's mental health. The survey was conducted in 2022 and officially released in 2023. This is the first comprehensive nationwide data set focused solely on the mental health of children and adolescents ages 6 through 17. And according to this report, about 7% of children and adolescents currently meet criteria for at least one mental disorder. And 16%, or 1 in 6, experience a disorder at some point in their lives. Anxiety disorders are the most common, followed by behavioral and impulse control disorders. And despite the high prevalence, many cases remain under-recognized and undertreated, especially among younger children. Here are the breakdowns of the prevalence for different disorders. Behavioral and developmental disorders affect about 7% of Korean children, and this includes neurodevelopmental disorders such as ADHD, autism spectrum disorder, and disruptive behavior disorders such as oppositional defiant disorder and conduct disorder. And given this prevalence, the need for effective treatment approaches is very clear. And building on this national picture, we can look more closely at developmental risk among young children in Korea. Korea uses a standardized screening tool called KDST, the Korean Developmental Screening Test for Infants and Children, and it's administered nationwide. And according to the 2023 screening data, between 7% and 20% of infants and toddlers fall into developmental risk categories. That means they require continuous monitoring or further evaluation. What is particularly notable is the pattern at around 18 to 24 months. Nearly 1 in 5 children, about 20%, is identified as needing additional follow-up. These concerns cover a wide range of domains, including communication, cognition, motor skills, and especially social interaction. And across ages 2 to 6, the proportion of children in the risk group remains consistently high, around 10 to 14%. These findings show that Korean young children do show developmental and behavioral vulnerabilities that needs early interventions. And beyond the national screening data, there was a recent post-COVID study which provided an even more detailed picture of the challenges young children are facing in Korea. In 2023, a study involving 456 children ages 1 to 5 from daycare centers across 25 districts in Seoul was conducted, and the research team completed comprehensive assessments, examining language development, cognitive skills, and play-based interactions. And they also evaluated emotional and behavioral functioning based on the ratings from both parents and teachers. And the results were quite striking. 64% of the children showed risk on at least one screening measure. And this suggests that many had concerns in one or more developmental or behavioral domains. Even more notably, nearly half, 48%, were classified into clinical or subclinical diagnostic groups. These findings suggest that developmental, emotional, and behavioral difficulties are highly prevalent among young children in the post-pandemic context. And many children are showing signs of delayed social interaction, increased emotional dysregulation, and heightened behavioral challenges. And when we look at this together with the national survey data and the KDST findings, a clear picture emerges. Korea is experiencing a substantial need for early childhood mental health services. And the growing need underscores the importance of interventions like PCIT. Now that we understand the mental health needs of young children in Korea, I'd like to shift to what treatment options are available, specifically what evidence-based interventions exist for disruptive behaviors. As we look at the landscape of evidence-based treatments in Korea, one issue becomes immediately clear. There is a significant lack of rigorously validated evidence-based interventions, especially for young children. There was a Korean review examining 28 studies published between 1998 through 2019 on treatments for disruptive behaviors in children and adolescents. And the review identified internationally supported treatments such as behavioral parent training models, PCIT, parent management training, multisystemic therapy, and they compared these internationally supported treatments with Korean research trends. The review found that validated evidence-based treatments in Korea remain very limited, especially for preschool-aged children. Out of 28 studies, only 3 studies were for preschool-aged children, and of those 3 studies, 2 of them were PCIT study. And PCIT was the only treatment that included parents and for the problem of disruptive behaviors. Many Korean studies have used developmentally appropriate medium, such as storytelling, play, and arts in this treatment review. But most of these studies lack replication and rigorous validation, falling short of strong evidence-based treatment standards. There were some CBT-based programs incorporating components such as anger management, cognitive restructuring, and problem solving, and they showed some promise. And numerous treatments were rated as probably efficacious. But overall, Korea needs more research to develop strong evidence-based treatments. And because PCIT already has a well-developed manual and clearly defined integrity measure, it can play an important role in building an evidence-based practice in Korea. Now I would like to turn to PCIT development in Korea. For about 10 years, before PCIT Korea was formally established, a small group of clinicians in Korea had already begun providing PCIT in their own practice settings. And as awareness of early childhood mental health needs grew and more clinicians became interested in PCIT, and the number of trained therapists steadily increased. As this professional community expanded, it became clear that Korea needed a more coordinated structure to support training, consultation, and overall quality of PCIT services. And in response to this need, PCIT Korea was established in 2019 and officially registered as a nonprofit organization in 2022. Our purpose as an organization is to build a professional community of PCIT therapists and trainers to support therapist competence through consultation and trainings and a clear credentialing framework. And we also aim to ensure that PCIT in Korea is practiced with fidelity and remain aligned with PCIT international standards. Since its establishment, PCIT Korea has been actively working to support clinicians and strengthen PCIT dissemination across country. We have hosted domestic conferences and provide training opportunities on a very wide range of topics, including trauma and anxiety, autism spectrum disorder, adaptations, DPICS training, PCIT toddler, PCIT for older children, teacher-child interaction training, and PCIT CU, the callous unemotional adaptation. Our next scheduled training is PCIT SM Selective Mutism. And with continued interest from clinicians, we also offer consultation opportunities with global PCIT trainers. And we engage in ongoing collaboration with PCIT International and trainers around the world to maintain alignment with global standards. And we also operate credentialing system under the Korean private certification framework to support therapist competence and ensure high quality care. And as of now, we have 103 certified PCIT therapists and 14 trainers, and this number continues to grow each year. Through these activities, PCIT Korea is steadily expanding its capacity and building a strong foundation for high-quality PCIT services in Korea. Now I'd like to turn to types of PCIT research that has been conducted in Korea. To date, we have identified about 40 PCIT-related studies, including journal articles and dissertations, both at master's level and doctoral level. In the early stages of dissemination, it is common for research to focus on effectiveness studies, and that is also true in Korea. But we are now seeing more diversity also. Studies have examined parent coaching and process variables. Studies have explored assessment tools, including DPICS. We now have early work on PCIT toddler and studies on telehealth and integrated delivery models. And there are qualitative studies exploring parents' experiences. And this growing range of topics show that interest in PCIT is expanding across both clinical and academic settings in Korea. And when we look at the distribution of these 40 studies, you can see the effectiveness studies make up the majority, about 62.5%. And we also see several literature reviews, meta-analyses, qualitative studies, and assessment-related studies. And although limited, the current body of research reflects meaningful progress, and PCIT now has been studied across diverse clinical population and settings. And the research base continues to expand year by year. Here are some variables that has been included in the PCIT studies. For children domain, studies have examined disruptive behavior problems, ADHD symptoms, anxiety, autism spectrum disorder, developmental delays, and language development. And we also see parent variables addressing parenting stress, parenting efficacy, and several qualitative studies that have explored parents' coaching experiences and relationship changes during PCIT. And there has also been work on assessment validation, particularly studies examining DPICS coding system. And overall, PCIT research in Korea is becoming more diverse, but we still need larger samples and replication to build stronger evidence base. And now that we've seen how diverse research area has become, let me briefly highlight what the overall evidence show and when these studies are combined. This is from a recent Korean meta-analysis done from a doctoral dissertation by Jung-Ok Lee. And across studies, PCIT demonstrated large and consistent effects on parent-child interaction, child behavior problems, parenting stress, parenting efficacy. And I believe you will hear about this study, the meta-analysis in detail in the afternoon presentation. These results closely align with international PCIT research, reinforcing that PCIT is highly effective for Korean families. And taken together, these findings have important implications for Korean families. Korea has a high proportion of dual working parents and many caregivers experience significant parenting stress and high demands in managing young children's behaviors. And because of these challenges, families often need support that is structured, practical, and effective in strengthening daily interactions with their children. And PCIT directly targets the parent-child relationship, and that makes especially well-suited for the context. The strong improvements seen in parent-child interaction, parenting efficacy, and reductions in parenting stress suggest that PCIT address many of the difficulties Korean parents commonly report in everyday caregiving. The findings also show that treatment effects were stronger when both parents participated. So this aligns with what we often observe clinically. The consistent responses from caregivers and shared parenting approaches lead to more stable behavioral change in children. So overall, PCIT offers developmentally appropriate relationship-focused intervention that fits well with the needs of the Korean families. It supports not only reductions in child behavior problems, but also healthier, more confident parenting and a stronger family system. Now I'm at my last slide, and I realize I may be speaking too fast, but that's okay. As we look ahead, there are several important next steps for advancing PCIT in Korea. First, we need to continue strengthening the evidence base through larger and multi-site studies, and more replication studies and stronger fidelity checks will help establish a more rigorous foundation. The second, we want to expand clinical applications, working with broader age ranges, different diagnostic groups, and a wide variety of service settings. And there is also a growing need for adapted telehealth and hybrid models to increase accessibility. Third, we aim to continue building therapist competence by developing stronger systems for training, ongoing consultation, and fidelity monitoring. And the number of certified therapists grows, supporting their continued development becomes increasingly important. Finally, we hope to enhance dissemination and implementation so the PCIT becomes more accessible to underserved families across Korea. Expanding access both geographically and across service sectors will be an essential part of our work moving forward. Overall, these next steps will help us build a more sustainable and more inclusive ecosystem for PCIT in Korea. And thank you very much for listening. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay. Excellent timing, Uni. You take literally 20 minutes.
Oh,
And
okay, I wasn't too fast.
Thank you for your great presentation, and let us know how the PCIT developed and expanded in Korea. Yeah. So now we will move on to Q&A, and let me look at. And if you have any question, please type them in the Q&A box, and along with your name and the country or area.
Great, we can have break, right?
Okay. I don't see any questions, so okay, now we will conclude our first block of presentation, and thank you to all of our presenters for your excellent presentation, and thank you to our audience for your thoughtful questions. Now let's take a 10 minutes break before we return for our second block of presentation, which will be chaired by Dr. Uni Ri. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Vivian, for sharing this first block. So, as she said, we will now take a 10 minutes break. Please return at 55 in your own time zone. So enjoy your break.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a refreshing break. I'm Nana Hosogane from Japan, and I will serve as a moderator for the second half of this mini conference. We will now move on to the second block. I would like to turn the session over to our chairperson, Dr. Yuni Ri from South Korea. Yuni, please begin.
Thank you. Good morning again, everyone, and welcome to the second block of presentation. For those of you who are just joining now, my name is Yuni Ri from Korea, and I have the pleasure of serving as the chair for the second block. And each presenter will have 20 minutes and followed by 5 minutes for Q&A. And as you've been instructed, please remember to type in your questions with your name and country into the Q&A box. Presenters, I'll do my best to pronounce your name correctly, and I do apologize in advance for any mispronunciation. And I will send a gentle reminder in 1 minute before ending time through response button like this. And with that, let us begin with presentation. Next presentation. Our first presentation in the second block is by Drs. Rana Hong, Jung-Ok Lee, and Sang-Hee Lee. So please begin when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rana Hong. I think our team, we have Dr. Sang-Hee Lee is here, and our Jung-Ok Lee is not here. So I will be the main speaker today for our presentation. Let me just share the screen first. Okay, 1 second. So, Uni, can you see my screen as
I see the presenter mode.
Presenter mode? That's what I thought. Okay, let me just do that again. Okay, there you go. How about right now?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I will start from introduction. My name is Rana Hong. I'm in Chicago, Illinois. I'm working at Loyola University, Chicago. And our two, the presenter, one Jung-Ok Lee, as Dr. Lee mentioned, that who did a very first meta-analysis, and she is from Dongguk University. We have Sang-Hee Lee. She's also Dongguk University. All of us are PCITers. So we are honored to present today. And I will start with, how it started as the Jung-Ok's doctoral dissertation was a systemic review and meta-analysis in South Korea. So once she finished, then we want to look at where any study, even including US, that is there any additional study done in the database in the US and South Korea? So that's how our journey began. So we are happy to present our study today. Our presentation is we're gonna just talk about our research. It was a little bit different from a dissertation because we have a focus area, and then we'll share the meta-analysis, the results that we found, and we'll make the conclusion. about our study. So the main reason is that, as Dr. Lee presented ahead of me, we see a lot of adaptability in South Korea. And we also want to see that Korean immigrant in United States, how PCIT is working, because I see a lot of a positive, impact in my private practice. So we decide to do that little bit bigger scope of meta-analysis. And one of the reasons is that South Korea, as Dr. Lee mentioned, that the recent studies show that there is children's mental health illness really skyrocketing compared to the prior. We just start having a data that may be one of the reasons. And you may know in Asian region, the academic competition now in South Korea from one of the newspaper is that children under age 6, 47.6%, they are enrolled in private tutoring center to, academically prepare. So with the pressure of the academic pressure, we could see some of the concern about social, emotional, developmental issue. And also there's another major driver for our study. There's a discrepancy in parenting approach within intergenerational caregiving context, as many Korean parents are, dual working model. They tend to get their parenting support from extended grandparents. Obviously, traditional parenting style and modern parenting style, there is inconsistency that we are, disciplining our kids and parenting our children. So that also become another cause of children's needs. So we, Korea need definitely some of the model that consistently utilized in each family. So that's one of our background information. So what we decide to do, as I mentioned first we use the PRISMA guideline. So this is the most up-to-date guideline, tend to incorporate systematic review and meta-analysis together. So we search US database, 3 database, which surprisingly have a geo publication for Korean children and family in the database. So we kind of went back to what Jung-wook did, but Korea and database, same thing. She already did a systematic review, so we don't need to do it. But what we decide to do, unlike her dissertation that she come up with some effect size, we try to find some unified effect size of across different research design. So that's what we kind of narrow down to our study. So we use the same study, is the same criteria that Jung-wook did her dissertation. And what we found is, when we did the round of this PRISMA, in the end, 11 study was the same study that Jung-wook identified from the systemic review, the one we are utilizing for our current meta-analysis. So method-wise, it is pretty in-depth and advanced level of a meta-analysis we conducted. So what we did is that we create some data set by combining the 2 types of quantitative, the research design. So what that means is that a lot of study among 11 study, some are done by pre and post test, and the other one is done by clinical trial. So we have to come up with the Bayer database in order to come up with unified some effect size. So what that means is, if you look at here, the second, that normally every based on our, literature review, every meta-analysis done for PCIT in the United States, and then also whatever done in English, they tend to gather, they were not able to finding the unified effect size from the whole study sample, because methodologically, if your Bayer study is done for pre-post, and the other one is done by clinical trials, and it's hard to get combined effect size because it's creating a lot of methodological error. So what we did, we had those control clinical study, which I mean here, the between study, we utilized that, the standardized difference in change, which is SCD. So we are, we are computing those effect sizes just different in two different ways. We first get that for within groups, and the other one is for between groups. Between groups, we get the SDC, which means is a standardized difference in change, and another one for within group, which is a pre and post test. Well, we got that standardized mean change using low scores. So through this, we were able to compute the effect size, and all those effect size that standardized effect size, we use a HGG with small sample bias correction. So we were able to minimize any statistical matter, even though original study done with different design. We also use a Q statistic and then I-square statistic, because a lot of time, as Dr. Lee mentioned, that there's a lot of heterogeneity happening in different study. What that means, different types of behavior, different types of, the size. So those kind of things. So we gotta, assess that to see how much our, finding is valuable or not. And then lastly is so important is that what we did is that in order to get the pooled effect size of overall mean effect size, we use a mu, and a mu is the one that we can say this is, based on our result across all kind of the effect size. With the mu score, we can say that it's a truly effect size is strong or not. So this is I don't find any other study done using the mu effect size beside of our study. So that's another thing. So we advance statistical rigor from this meta-analysis. And we also did a multiple hierarchical model, and because we want to see that how individual the behavior also having an effect size. So we also using that the restricted maximum likelihood. We are using it. We conduct a 3-level hierarchical model. And then we also did a sensitivity analysis, because we want to make sure that any outlier, so some influential point is impacting our results. So we check that the sensitive analysis. And finally, our Junghook's original study, she used CMA. That's the kind of software we happen to use in meta-analysis work. But this time we use JASP, is one of the newer software. So with this one, we were able to come up with the finding, which I'm going to show you now. Very exciting result. So if you see that here, I know there's a lot of number, but I will explain easier way. So when you see the overall pooled mean effect mean is across all the study, the effect size, that's what it means. So statistically, it's strong. This is a number here, and then all those study, there were 11. However, in each study, they have several sub-studies. So we have a total of 40 study. And then, so that's why you see the K is 40. And then effect size, mu, 0.31 is that minus mean is a behavior decrease. It is a pretty strong effect size using the meaningful, very meaningful. So it's just indicating that regardless of the behavior, regardless the research design, it's showing that PCIT is meaningfully and consistently beneficial for Korean families. So that's what it means. And if you see that here, that I mentioned the heterogeneity is always an issue, but then if you see that it has a pretty, high, the moderate heterogeneity showing. However, if you look at the here, the prediction interval, if you look at it here, then the total, the interval is pretty narrow. It is not like really big differences there. Interval is much narrower than, the other study, indicating that, suggesting that, it has a greater stability of those unified effect size. If I go to the next slide, a little more detail, as I mentioned, that we did was a 3-level random effects using, the LEML, is that if you see this one also across 40 study, we want to see that what's the pooled effect size when we do this 3-level random analysis. It showed that if you look at here, the first one is that's the full pooled effect size, that means unified effect size was pretty high. So it was minus 0.81 is very strong, significant effect size. We see it. And also, if you see that here G-score, we double check the G-score as well, is right here. It's indicating it's significant, and also it's indicating that it's confirming that this result is not happening by chance. It's unlikely to have a chance to happen by chance. So it's just also, confirming our study result. And also another things we need to pay attention here, the heterogeneity part. If you see that we have only 30, indicating that it is a pretty moderate residual in heterogeneity coming out from this study. This is called a progressive plot. We just want to show you visually. If you look at here, the number 0, most of things is going lower than 0, right? So indicating that its behavior are decreasing. Some of the things like, the positive apparent efficacy, of course, increasing, showing here. So most of the things are clustered in here, except just a couple of, the study so it kind of indicating, summarizing our effect size for all, including PCIT studies, and it's showing that pretty strong. And then the moderation test indicating that this is differs significantly across outcome domain, though, if you see some variety there. So there's a possibility that PCIT's effectiveness sometimes vary depending on behavior or parenting factor, even though total effect size is still strong. But what they mean is that some are stronger than the others. So that's how it should become this progress study is showing us. We also did a funnel study, just making sure that all those publication bias. If you see that everything is clustered around this in a funnel, which is very good news. And there are some statistical outlier, which we also did an additional study, taking them out and see that whether it's effect size change or not, which I'm going to show you a couple slides later. This is another thing, so, when we look at the subgroup out of a 40 study, then, we cluster that some of the studies seeing the externalizing behavior and also parenting stress. And this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 area that are showing the significant changes. As we all know that the disruptive behavior is significantly reduced, and then parenting stress significantly reduced. Again, this is a mu, what that means it's unified across all the study, about the parenting stress, showing this kind of high effect size, which was very exciting. It also reduced parenting depressed, and also it was improving at the same time parent efficacy and parent-child relationship improved, and also developmentally mental delay got improved. We remove internalized behavior mainly because it was a high effect size, but it's only one study, and it's just a little biased to present that we have a meta-analysis result about internalizing behavior. We just mainly cannot claim because we don't have enough study, but result-wise, it was a strong effect size. So as I mentioned that we are double checking our unified effect size, see that, the choice of the variance, the estimator, whether it impact the result significantly or not. But when we try the alternative estimator, it's showing the same result. So we don't see anything that about our model, the pooled effect size was very valid based on alternative estimator. You also see that here, some pooled estimate the range is mu is 0.26. What the mean is, it's indicating that the result remain consistent across reasonable assumption about the within subject dependence, because you know that this is a pooled effect size not only between subject, also within subject, but then we also separated when we look at the within subject, what does it look like? When we look at between subject, what does it look like? It was also reasonable assumption presenting, so it's supporting our result. And as I mentioned that we also excluding the sum of domain, whether it's gonna leading to some change in effect size. As you see, there are two couple study appear to be outlier. So we wonder whether those outlier, if we remove, because one study showing strong effect size, and then some people may wonder, is it because of that study, whether we get that, total, the result is strong. So we remove them, we run it, and it also showing that removing those domain didn't much change our effect size. Effect size is just, was that pulled down to 0.27 to 0.29. So it was nothing much different from original study we did it. So it was indirectly supporting that our effect size is very valid. So what does that mean? So it means is that I just, this aggregated finding are the very first finding in the PCIT, not only just Korea, across every meta-analysis currently published in the United States, is that this is the very first one finding the aggregated across different the design. So it's very exciting to see that it's showing that it's strong result for PCIT for Korean parents and family. And this is also very first, to provide empirical evidence, because from the positive result of meta-analysis really supporting this model in South Korea. And also having this random effects pooled estimate is really indicating that that doesn't matter, usually in research world, pre and post is a little bit lower level of design than like clinical trial is upper level. But what we find out, even across those design and depending on the types of, population, developmental delay or something else, it is still showing that very strong effect size, confirmed. And 3-level random effect size also, providing that robust of PCIT overall effectiveness. So in this study, not only contributing the methodological analysis, and also address some of the limitation to of previous meta-analysis that PCIT world has. Some of the example is that early meta-analysis, as I mentioned, that if you read it closely, even though it's effective, they only look at between study group or within group, mainly because, if not, it will be, creating some issue. So a lot of computation happen in order to see them all together. And some of the things is that even though we said that this is a strong effect size, the coins D with the HSG, if we are not adjusting, sometimes we said it's inflated. So even though effect size is big, it's inflated effect size. So some people can question about the effect size we are presenting. However, mu effect size, I doubt anybody can criticize about it. So that's another part that we are confident about our result. And so, same things I mentioned that the 3-level hierarchical model is another things that provide more, accurate and unbiased and interpretation of our result. And I don't think so. I need to repeat the cultural application, which many did already, Dr. Lee did it. Our study is under review that we got the invitation when we presented some elsewhere. So you will be able to meet our study in the US journal. I hope the next year.
Thank you for wonderful presentation. Rana, is there any questions? Please put it in the Q&A box. Those of who are the research-hearted, you can be maybe a very, warm-hearted. Okay, if there is no questions, we can continue on with the next presentation. We'll move to presentation by Agnes Choi, Angeli Chao Wei Feng, Tammy Sin Chui Shen. The floor is yours. Great.
Yes.
Oh, you just changed.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Agnes, do you want to make it to the full screen?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Agnes Choi, and I am the director and a regional trainer for PCIT Hong Kong. And I'm Angeli Chow, PCIT within agency trainer, and we are both PCIT toddler clinicians. We are delighted to be here to present our qualitative study on the experiences of Chinese parents receiving parent-child interaction therapy for toddlers, PCITT. To begin, let's briefly introduce PCITT for those new to the model. PCITT is an evidence-based adaptation of standard PCIT, specifically designed for toddlers aged 12 to 24 months showing early signs of behavioral difficulties. The core philosophy is prevention and early intervention. We aim to prevent maladaptive behavior by improving the parents' sensitivities and responsiveness, ultimately supporting the child's emotional regulation and social development. Fundamentally, PCITT views disruptive behavior as emotional dysregulation, prioritizing attachment and willing listening as a learned skill. Parents learn the specific skills through life coaching. So who is this therapy designed for? On the child side, we are looking at toddlers between 12 and 24 months exhibiting early behavioral challenges. On the parent side, it is for those feeling stressed and frustrated by their toddler's behavior. For those familiar with standard PCIT, there are key differences in the toddler's model. First is developmental sensitivities. Everyone is tailored to the cognitive and emotional ability of a 1 to 2 years old. Second is the major shift towards co-regulation. We don't expect a toddler to self-soothe. Instead, the therapy supports the parent's emotional regulation while teaching the parents to calm the child during distress. The third, modified PDI phase. The focus of this phase is listening and cooperation teaching. which is gentle and briefer than standard PCIT. The goal is to teach, not to punish, often involving a moment of quiet connection with the parents before we attempting the instruction. Fourth is the use of nonverbal cues considering toddlers' developmental needs. Looking at the two phases of the therapy, in the child-directed interaction, we use the familiar price skills, but a strong emphasis on emotion labeling. We introduced the CARES model, a framework for handling big emotion and managing parental self-care. In parent-director interaction, we move away from timeouts. Instead, we use a guided compliance approach, a sequence of tell, show, try again guide. This gently teach listening skills using age-appropriate commands. The benefits are significant. For the child, we see reduced aggression, improved regulation, and a more secure attachment. For the parents, we see increased confidence and reduced stress. Long term, this set the family on a healthier track, potentially preventing the need for intensive service later in life. For those who are interested in this model and the training of it, please refer to the website and the QR code here.
Okay, now we'd like to shift focus to the development of PCIT in Hong Kong. Since 2023, we began delivering PCIT to Chinese families. Up till now, there are 3 clinicians and 3 trainees. And it is a privilege that we have a Hong Kong cohort and receive monthly consultations from Dr. Emma Girard so that we can discuss among issues like case dissemination, translation, and coaching impacts. And for now, there are 6 families who have completed the program. To deliver PCIT to Chinese parents, we have adapted the model with careful thought. First, language nuances were critical. For example, for the concept of compliance, we discussed carefully using a word with a stronger sense or a milder way, that is, 尊重 versus 合作, in consideration to the cultural context. Second, we addressed practical concerns like crowded living spaces, shared parenting responsibilities with grandparents or domestic helpers. We had to consider how therapy functions in such physical settings and within a broader family system. And thirdly, it also involves monitoring progress in different settings. And because of the development of PCIT in Chinese community, and we are going to talk about the purpose of the study. Because of the development of the PCIT in Chinese community, we wanted to understand how this adapted approach landed with Chinese parents and identify any culturally related concerns or unique experiences. And therefore, we conducted a preliminary study carried out by Agnes, Tammy, and me. Our study used a qualitative design. We conducted semi-structured interviews with parents who have completed the program and used a grounded theory approach to analyze the data, allowing themes to emerge directly from their stories. And the next slide, and here we can see the demographics of our 6 participating families. We had a mix of fathers and mothers with children aged 15 to 27 months. Notably, 2 families lived overseas.
Most importantly, let's take a look at the DECA T scores, which indicates the social emotional protective factors in young children. The average pre-treatment score was 47.0, and post-treatment it rose to 62.1. This data indicates remarkable improvement, supporting the positive experiences found in our interviews. From our analysis, 4 major themes emerged. 1. The paradigm shift regarding connection. 2. The crucible of change involving resistance and culture. 3. The tangible gains observed. And 4. The realities of implementation in daily life. Let's walk through these. Theme 1 represents a shift from fixing behavior to cultivating connection. Parents realized the relationship was the foundation for cooperation. As parent F put it, you have to enter the child's world. After your relationship with him is good, the child is much more receptive to whatever you say. If he doesn't even like you, then whatever you say is useless. In the end, it's all about the human relationship. And theme 2, the crucible of change, highlights the difficulty. Parents felt the skills were unnatural and experienced cultural conflict, especially regarding praise, which isn't traditional in Chinese parenting. Parent F shared, the part about constantly praising him, I really struggled. It was very hard because I could see he wasn't that amazing, and you're forcing yourself to constantly praise him. And you can't get past your own barrier. If you don't even believe in yourself, how can you do it? It also required immense emotional labor. Parent C admitted, I myself am a very irritable and easily angered person. The program requires you to speak to her with great patience. It's useless the first time. You really have to keep telling yourself, calm down, don't be affected by her, you have to help her. How to change yourself to communicate with your child, there's the hard part. And despite the struggle, Theme 3 highlights tangible results. Parents gained a new toolkit. Parent C shared a specific example. I vividly remember a skill that was like a 5-second rule. It really helped me a lot because in the past, my daughter would never pay attention when I called her. Now, using this method, she responds. This shows how concrete skills can create validating change. And theme 4 addresses real-world application. Parents noted that consistency was the biggest challenge and that outcomes depended on their investment. As parents be advised, my advice is you really have to invest time. That's the first thing. The second is to be persistent. It's like learning piano or swimming. In the end, the parent is very important for the outcome. We also found 2 interesting points. First, for overseas participants, the online format was a lifeline bridging the gap in support networks. And second, parents found the skills effective for older siblings as well. Parent A described using emotion soothing skills with her older son who experienced struggles. I didn't say, actually, you wrote it well. I just touched him and said, I know you might feel it's a bit hard and you feel a bit disappointed. Later, he regulated himself and said, I'm okay now. The whole set of skills, they actually like it when someone soothes and understands their feelings. So, what is the implication for clinical practice with Chinese families? Firstly, we must dedicate time to explaining relationship-first parenting and normalizing the cultural discomfort we place. Besides, we must acknowledge the emotional labor involved and focus on parental self-regulation. Lastly, we must actively involve other caregivers like grandparents who are central to the child's life. In conclusion, PCIT is a powerful intervention for Chinese families. However, its success hinges on a culturally sensitivity adaptation that honor the parent's journey, their internal shift, their struggles, and their investment. And thank you for your time. We are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation. Nana, is that the question on the chat you'd like to address by Hong Kong presenters?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agnes and Angeli, you can answer this question. The specialized terminology in PCIT makes interpretation difficult, even for us in Japan. Could you please share how your team in Hong Kong selected and trained the interpreters?
Shall I start first? And Alice, you can add on if there's any missing points. And thanks, Nana, for your question about the terminology. Yes, as we mentioned, firstly, we went through several processes. Firstly, when we translated the materials, we discussed among our translation team as well, because it's not only word for word translation, but we consider like as a fluent in our language or in our language. How do the parents perceive the terms, and we have to also sometimes we also we have the notes with the formal terms. But when we deliver the notes and the skills to the parents, we also use the more we call layman or the usual wordings, considering different like SES or different backgrounds of the parents, so that to fit in. So it's not only word for word translation, but also we are like, hey, we consider about the SES situation, and then we think about what terms that will be fit them more. So it's the translation round. And secondly, we also receive the consultation monthly within our Hong Kong team. And during the consultation, we also bring up issues like, hey, after a few sessions with some cases, it seems to us that, these terms may be too hard or too soft or not so easily digested by the families. So we bring these issues to the consultations and discuss among with other clinicians and trainees and see not only with PCIT, but also with standard PCIT, how our experiences can like to find a way out what may be a more suitable terms for these families. So in conclude, we can think of the translation of materials we screen once, and then also when we practice with the families with the consultation, we have the second round of refining of the terms. see if we can
Thank
answer your question, Nana.
Yes, thank you very much. That's it's similar to what we do in Japan too. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other questions? If not, we will close this session and move on to the next presentation. Thank you, Agnes and Angeli. Now our next presentation is by Yi-Chuen, Vivian Chen and Yaju Yang from Taiwan. Please move ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yi-Chuen Chen, also known as Vivian. I'm a professor and a licensed clinical psychologist in Department of Psychology at the National Zhongzheng University and a PCIT regional trainer in Taiwan. It's my pleasure to co-present with Yaru Yang. Our presentation is titled Experience of Implementing PCIT with an Emotion Regulation Module for Taiwanese Family. Today, we will introduce the rationale for developing the ER module and why integrating the ER with PCIT matter. We will then review how we adapted PCIT-ET into the PCIT-ER, including an overview of both modules and a comparison of layer structure and content. We will also discuss the implementation challenges and the strategy we address them. Now I will turn it over to Yaru Yang.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yaju Yang, and I'm currently a graduate student at the Institute of Clinical Psychology at National Chongqing University. I'm also a member of Dr. Chen's laboratory, and right now I'm doing a full-time clinical internship at a hospital in Kaohsiung. It is also my pleasure to be here today to share our work on emotion regulation module with you. To begin, I'd like to introduce the rationale behind developing the emotion regulation module. So one of the key reasons we developed the ER module is that difficulties in emotion regulation are commonly seen across childhood disorder. Prior research has also shown that ER difficulties are closely linked to increased parenting stress. Another reason is that child's emotional and behavioral problems don't occur only at home, but also appear in school settings, where parents are not present to provide immediate support. Therefore, it is essential to build children's self-regulation skills in order to promote their overall mental health and well-being. Next, I'll talk about why we decided to combine emotion regulation skills with PCIT. First, PCIT helps foster a positive parent-child relationships and improve child compliance, which in turn creates a strong foundation for teaching ER skills more effectively. During the PDI phase, when parents attempt to set limits, it often brings out strong emotions in children. This highlights the importance of teaching children emotion regulation strategies to regulate their emotions. And also, based on our clinical experiences, we have observed that the way Taiwanese parents discuss everyday issues often unintentionally triggers negative emotional reaction in their children. So by integrating ER into PCIT, parents can better support their children in managing these emotions. Next, ER skills are essential throughout childhood. For preschoolers, cognitive abilities are still developing, which means they rely heavily on caregivers for co-regulations. In this stage, children tend to show high level of egocentrism. This makes it difficult for them to understand others' perspective or manage strong emotions on their own. As children move into school age, ER continues to play a critical role. During this stage, their logical reasoning improves, especially for concrete events. Egocentrism decreases, allowing for better perspective taking. That is why children can benefit greatly from learning and applying emotion regulation strategies. Now I'll shift to the adaptation process from PCIT-ED to ER, starting with an overview of both the ED and ER modules. So the ED module was developed by Dr. John Luby and her colleagues. It is implemented after families completed the standard PCIT modules and includes 8 structured sessions that are grounded in empirical research on emotional development. Throughout these sessions, core PCIT techniques continue to be used. The primary focus of the ED module is to enhance children's emotional competence and emotion regulation, particularly in treating preschool depression. The ED module is based on the understanding that early childhood depression can be viewed as a disorder of emotional development. Children with this presentation often have difficulties recognizing, understanding, and regulating their emotions, and they tend to show increased reactivity to negative stimuli and reduced reactivity to positive experiences. Therefore, the goal of the ED module is to strengthen children's emotional development by training parents to act as effective emotion regulators and emotion coaches for their child. Now, let's move on to an overview of the emotion regulation module. This module was adapted from the ED module, and similar to the ED module, the ER module is implemented after families completed the standard PCIT modules and consisted of 8 structured sessions and continues to apply core PCIT techniques. The ER module is influenced by key components of 2 major therapeutic approaches. First, it incorporates key components from dialectical behavior therapy for adolescents, include acceptance skills, change skills, and what are called walking the middle path skills. Second, the ER module incorporates elements from trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, includes relaxation skills, affective regulation skills, and cognitive processing skills. Therefore, the focus of the ER module is on addressing difficulties in emotion regulation for children, especially for those who exhibit disruptive or externalizing behavior problems. These children not only struggle to recognize, understand, and manage their emotion, but also show increased reactivity to both negative and positive stimuli. So the goal of the module is also to strengthen children's emotional development by training parents to act as effective emotion regulators and emotion coaches for their child. Next, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Chen for the next section.
Now we have looked at the overall adaptation process. Let's take a closer look at how the ED and ER module differ in structure and content. In section 1 of both the ED and ER module, we start by examining the parents' own experience of emotion regulation and how they respond to their children's emotion. We highlight the importance of the parental modeling and the caregiver's role as an external regulator. We also introduce the key idea like emotion development perspective and the emotion reactive curve to help parents understand emotional processes. Section 2 focuses on the teaching parents key skill for emotion development. We start with the support step, which guide how to respond in the moment when the child is having strong emotion. Then we introduce the guide step, which help parents talk with their child after emotion has passed. In section 2 of the ED module, we teach 6 essential support steps for responding in the moment. In the ER module, only prepare and the calm step were adapted. All other steps remain the same. In adapting the prepare step for the ER module, we add a feeling to the original focus on preparing the parent's body and the thought. For the calm step, we incorporated the emotion regulation process flowchart and broadened the list of feeling tools to give the parent and the children more options for calming themselves. This is the flowchart, provide a simple guide for handling the big feeling. It starts with noticing the big feeling, then the children try to calm their body and mind using the physical, cognitive, or behavior strategy. Next, use the helpful thought to decide whether the problem is solved. If solvable, use problem solving. If not, practice acceptance, apologize, replaying, forgiving, or coping skill to feel better. In section 2 of both ED and ER module, we also teach the general support skill for responding in the moment. The general support skill including the following 7 steps. In section 2 of the ED module, we teach the 5 essential guide steps to help parents talk with their child after an emotional episode. In the ER module, this step will reorganize into the 4 phases, with adaptation mapped to the go back described step, while other steps remain the same. In section 2 of both ED and ER module, we also teach the general guide skill to help parents talk with their child after an emotional episode. The general guide skill including the following 7 steps. Phase 2 of the ER module, called clarify beforehand, serves as the preparation phase. It adapts the first 3 ED guide skills, including go back, understand, and ideas. Phase 2 of the ER module, called the Describe the Event, use the go back, understand, and idea skill, but apply the ABC model to structure the description. Phase 3 of the ER guide step discuss the event, adapt, and expand the ED module's describe step. Parents help children examine their thoughts, decide whether each is true, untrue, or uncertain, along with the reason, and identify whether the thoughts are helpful or unhelpful. They also discuss the possible consequence, provide validation to support the understanding of their own and others' perspective. Phase 3 also introduced the demonstrate skill, where the parent model the helpful balanced thought. We teach the working in the past, 中庸之道, to show the two opposite ideas can both be true. This helps children move away from extreme or nothing or catastrophic thinking and develop more flexible, balanced perspectives. In this part of Phase 3, parents highlight what the child did well and reflect on how they can better support the child in similar situations. It expands upon the ED module original describe step. In Phase 4, express affect and confidence. Parents close with warmth and encouragement to help the child feel understand and supported. Session 3 focuses on building the children's basic emotion knowledge. We start with teaching 5 core emotions, then help children recognize the different level of intensity and the blended feeling using the feeling fact sheet. We also teach them to identify what triggers their emotion and what happened afterward. Finally, we connect the body sensation to their feeling to help build awareness and self-regulation. In Section 3 of both modules, we introduce the feeling toolbox, which gives children simple strategy for different emotions. We also help them to set up a realization station for children to count down and practice those tools at home. In the ER module, Section 3 extends the feeling toolbox with additional options for managing big feelings. For the caregiver check-in during the Session 4 and 4 to 8, in the ED module, the therapist reviews CDI and PDI homework, and the check-in both the support and the guide step from the previous week. In the ER module, we do the same, but start in the Session 5, we also review the support and the guide coaching video from the prior session. This gives us a chance to highlight the caregiver's strengths and identify areas for improvement. In the ED module, Session 4 and 6, the therapist coach the parent on support step using the two structured emotion elastic tests, followed by live coaching after 5 minutes or when the child reaches an emotion peak. In the ER module Session 4 to 8, we adapt this process by coaching and later coding both guide and support skill during the homework review and play with slightly more advanced and rule-based toys. The therapist also coaches the real-life command when the oppositional or defined behavior arises. In the ED module, Session 4 and 6, each session includes 5 minutes of CDI coding or coaching, followed by a video review of the transparent box or a broken teacup test, focusing on the support step and the caregiver strengths and the growth area. In the ER module, Session 4 to 8, each session includes 5 minutes of CDI coding or coaching, plus 10 minutes of PDI coding and coaching, including the real-life command as needed. In the ED module, Session 4 and 6, including the reviewing how to apply the guide step and assign the guide home practice once the child is calm. In the Session 5 and 7, the therapist coach the parents' use of the guide step during the discussion of a real pathway event. Each session also includes 5 minutes of CDI coding and coaching to continue strengthen the positive interaction skill. In ED Session 5 and 7, therapists also review a video clip of parents' use of guide step. During this review, the therapist goes through the strengths, challenges, and any concern about the step will apply. Each session includes additional teaching. Session 5 focuses on the girls' sexual education, while the Session 7 teaches the increasing joining skill. Session 8 in the ED module is flexible. The therapist focuses on the skill area that best fit the family needs, with the goal to strengthen the parents' key skill before moving on to graduations. Section A in the ED module also emphasizes building positive affect. The therapist codes and coaching the skill using the blowing bubble test, focusing on 1 or 2 priority goals. A warm cordial follow, and this session ends with a review of strength celebration with certificate and a referral as needed. Now I will turn it over to the Yaru Yang.
Now let's move on to the challenges caregivers encounter during the adaptation. First, let's look at the challenges they encounter when using the support steps. When practicing the observed steps, caregivers often confuse their child's emotions with behavior, thoughts, physical sensation, or urges. Second, during the connect steps, caregivers sometimes may slip into lecturing or criticizing instead of connecting with the child's emotion. Also, during the work together step, caregivers often need more support with collaborative problem solving. They tend to tell the child what to do next time rather than working with the child during emotional episodes. Finally, caregivers were sometimes unsure when to use support steps and when they should set limits or use discipline instead. Next, let's discuss some challenges caregivers encounter when using the guide steps. When practicing the go back step with older children, we noticed that older children often corrected or added their emotion sources. This often leads to the need for additional time to identify the true sources, and some caregivers may struggle to complete this process independently and needed in-session coaching to complete the process. Second, during the discuss step, caregivers sometimes skip the explanation of why a thought is a distortion or bias. They often modeled helpful thinking from an adult's perspective rather than a child's, which may reduce the effectiveness. Finally, similar to the support steps, caregivers were sometimes unclear about when to use the guide steps and when they need to set limits or use discipline instead. Next, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Chen.
Finally, I will walk through the strategy we used to address this challenge. Our first strategy for the observed step was to clearly break down the component of emotion, separate the internal experience, feeling, thought, urge, body reaction from the external observable behavior. We also use an additional strategy. We model the emotion labeling during the video review and highlight the observable cue. Practice the emotion identification in homework review and offering emotion vocabulary cards to help parents expand their emotional language. Together, this helps the parent more accurate notice and name their children's emotion. To help with the connect step, we model and role play what an empathic tone of connect statement during the homework review. We provide simple sentence stand to help learn practice. Throughout the coaching, we reinforce and praise the effective connect skill and gently redirect the caregiver when they slip back into the lecturing. To strengthen the caregiver's CPS skill, we use in-session modeling, role play, and video feedback. We guide the caregiver to define the problem clearly from both their own and the child perspective. Then we practice invitation, ask the child for idea, working together on solution. We also provide simple language script, reinforce any attempt to bring the child into problem solving. To help caregivers feel more confidence using the CPS skill, we provide simple language script they could use at home. For the define the problem step, we provide a statement like, you want to keep playing, but we need to clean up before dinner. Then we move to the invitation script, guiding the parent to ask the things like, what do you think we could do now? This script makes it easier for caregiver to start collaborative conversation with their child. We also integrate cultural sensitivity to the work together step. Since the collaboration can feel different across family, we emphasize that respectful communication and family harmony naturally support the CPS. By reframing the CPS as a way to build mutual understanding, not as the giving up authority, the caregiver become more open and willing to use the strategy in real interaction. To support caregiver when the children have multiple or unclear emotion sources, we model how to revisit these sources and provide simple language script. We coach caregiver to give open-ended questions and reassure them the clarification takes time. Through the role-play video feedback and consistent reinforcement, the caregiver become more confident exploring their child's emotion sources. To make the discussion span more child-friendly, we taught caregiver to use the simple script to label distortion, use concrete example tied to the child's own experience, and model how to reframe the thought in the way the child naturally understands. This small adjustment help children better understand a healthy thinking pattern. We also strengthen the caregiver discussion skill through practice. Role play helps them to identify distortion, generate child-friendly, helpful thought with immediate feedback to build confidence. We provide a sentence starter to make the progress easier and use video tab to highlight the moment where the caregiver could model helpful thinking. To address confusion about when to use the support step, guide step, and the PDI, we clarify the support and the guide step help with emotion regulation, while the PDI is for the enforcing limit. Through the homework review, video feedback, and the role play, we practice the sequence, support the emotion, and then follow through with PDI if needed. We highlight and praise the correct use of skill. In this example, we coach the caregiver on sequencing the support step. The caregiver used to prepare, observe, connect, and count step first, and then move to PDI when the child broke a rule. After the timeout, they return to the count and work together reassure step. We reinforce this sequence to help the caregiver provide emotion support while also setting clear boundary. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and we are happy to answer any question you may have now.
Thank you very much, Vivian and Yi-Chuen. There was a question on the question box. Thank you for this great presentation. How do you help parents balance the use of selective attention in PCIT and the ER module skills when managing challenging child behaviors and emotions? Specifically, how do you help parents avoid giving too much attention to disruptive behavior when a child is also exhibiting dysregulated emotions?
Okay, I think the first thing you need to help the parent to decide when the child have the emotion is reasonable or unreasonable. For example, if the child feel frustrated or when the child feel frustrated, it's important to use support skill. And it's okay for a child to feel sad or to crying. Yeah, but if the child, begin to, for example, like destroy things or other things, then we will just give them the command. Or if they broke the rule, so we will use the house rule. Yeah, and I think it will depend on the situation. Yeah, and sometimes if the function of behavior just get attention and they want to get away with something, then we will use selective attention. Yeah, during we will use the selective attention, the CDI skills. Do I answer?
Okay. I hope this answers your question. Is there any other questions? Very impressed about your work, Vivian. Thank you for your presentation. If there's no other questions, we will move on to the next presentation. That will be our last presentation for this block. And the final presentation is done by Dr. Fumie Ito, Nana Hosagane, Ikuto Kato, and Toshiko Kamo sensei from Japan. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Yuri. It is an honor to have the opportunity to present today. So let me share the screen. Can you see that? Okay, so hi everyone. PCIT Japan will present in two parts today. In part one, I will share an overview of how PCIT has developed in Japan. Part two will be presented by Dr. Hosogane, who will describe the adopted PCIT models introduced in Japan. So before we begin, each presenter will briefly introduce themselves. So, Nana Sensei, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm Nana Hosogane. I'm a within agency trainer, and I'll be presenting the second half of this presentation.
Kato Sensei. Go ahead, please go ahead, Dr. Kato.
Thank you for presentation, Mie Sensei and Nana Sensei. I'm worked in Japan.
ありがとうございます。私もワットです。
So, the last one, Dr. Kamo.
Hi, this is Toshiko Kamo. Thank you very much for your attend to this conference. Then, hi. Then please start, Fumie.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Finally, as the presenter for part one, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Fumie Ito. I am a clinical psychologist, a PCIT International Certified Regional Trainer, and a representative of PCIT Japan. Now, I'd like to introduce how PCIT was first brought to Japan. PCIT in Japan began in 2005 when Dr. Kamo was introduced to PCIT by Dr. Frank Putnam at a trauma conference. She later attended PCIT training in the United States and 2008 invited two clinicians, Erika Sensei and Anna Sensei, from Cincinnati Children's Hospital to conduct Japan's first initial workshop. A major milestone came in 2012 when Dr. Sheila Iberg and Dr. Elizabeth Bresten-Knight provided a workshop in Japan. Since then, they have continued to offer supportive supervision and consultation, which strongly supported the growth of PCIT in Japan. In 2015, two Japanese clinicians became certified trainers, making Japanese language PCIT training possible for the first time. PCIT has expanded rapidly in the past decade. According to the self-reported data, we currently have a growing number of trainers and certified therapists, and over 600 initial workshop participants across Japan. Regional study groups have also formed naturally across Japan, allowing nearby PCITers to collaborate and learning together. PCIT Japan works to maintain quality and fidelity through continuing education. Supervision is provided in Japanese, which makes learning easier. We receive monthly consultations that were originally provided Dr. Iberg. This consultation is now led by Dr. Kamo. We also receive monthly consultations from Dr. Bresten-Knight for regional trainer trainees. We offer PCIT-related lectures by both international and Japanese trainers. And since 2011, we have co-hosted an annual joint conference with CARE. These activities help clinicians stay connected and keep their skills up to date. Alongside the standard model, several adapted versions of PCIT have been introduced through lectures and workshops taught by global trainers. Further details will be presented in Part 2. A unique feature in Japan is the close collaboration with PCIT and CARE. Because many facilities use both models, PCIT Japan and CARE Japan have held an annual joint conference meeting for more than 10 years. Although PCIT has grown quickly, learning and implementing PCIT from Japan has not been easy. We face language barriers, financial barriers, geographic barriers. These remain significant challenges for many clinicians. At times, these barriers felt discouraging, but the support from PCIT International and the colleagues around the world has helped us stay motivated. We are deeply grateful for the downloadable protocol, multiple meeting times that consider time zone differences, posting the Japanese translation files we created for the CE credit videos, and granting CE credits for Japan-based PCIT lectures. This thoughtful support makes a great difference for clinicians in Japan. There is a well-known Japanese proverb, cherish the harmony among people. With this spirit of harmony, we hope to continue collaborating with colleagues around the world and working together within Japan to provide better support for families. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Iberg and all the colleagues who have supported us. Thank you very much for walking this journey with us. We look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you for listening. That's all I have for today. So now I'd like to hand it over to Dr. Hosogane for the second part of our presentation.
Okay, thank you. So I'll share my screen for the second part. Okay, I hope you can see the screen. Hello, I'm Nana Hosogane, and I'm a within agency trainer. I'll be reporting on two key areas of PCIT development in Japan, CE videos and the implementation of PCIT adaptation models. Okay, first, to support our growing number of Japanese certified therapists and trainers, we're trying to make CE credits more accessible. And with the cooperation of Dr. Elizabeth Bresson Knight, we have translated CE videos into Japanese. We've formed several working groups among the waters. Other ongoing teams include the Certified Therapist Quiz Translation Team and the DPICS Workbook Translation Team. And this is a picture of our CE video translation group. Multiple water members work together on one video, and the translated Japanese script is then posted on the CE video site. 6 videos have already been posted, with 5 more in preparation. Next, let's look at the growing practice of PCIT adaptations in Japan. As Dr. Sheila Iberg noted in 2005, adaptation becomes necessary when standard treatment is insufficient for a new population. Currently, multiple adapted versions of PCIT have been developed, and the evidence of their treatment effects has been accumulating. Fortunately, we have been able to receive training for several established PCIT adaptation models in Japan. The 4 adaptation models currently being trained and implemented in Japan are PCIT Toddlers, TCIT, PCIT for SM, and PCIT Health. Workshops have been held for all, followed by case consultations. And for PCIT for older children, the protocol has been translated and implementation has started. And since PCIT Health has just started case practice, I would like to focus on the first 3 models today. PCIT for toddlers is designed for children aged 12 to 24 months, focusing on techniques to increase attachment and emotion regulation for both the toddler and the caregiver. Has been shown to improve parenting behaviors, emotional availability, child behavior, and attachment. And this is the book, original book, and the Japanese translation for this book was published in 2023. In 2021, Dr. Emma Giral led a 4-day online training for 2 groups of PCIT trainers. The first group, shown in this photo, also took on the shared task of translating the book. We then had a year of consultation focusing on cases. Dr. Emma has trained 5 groups until 2025. Our preliminary efficacy study, presented by Dr. Kamo in 2021, involved 9 dyads. The children's average age was 19.4 months. The average number of sessions were slightly shorter than the standard PCIT. The total DECA scores showed a significant effect size of 1.20, suggesting strong effectiveness in Japan. The second adaptation is TCIT, Teacher-Child Interaction Training. This model meets the need for a PCIT for the classroom, helping educators provide support. Dr. Emma also conducted the first Japanese training in June 2022. Since then, practice has been implemented across Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, and Kyushu in a variety of settings, daycare centers, kindergartens, and elementary schools. The group also has successfully standardized the CISPR in Japan, and also academic presentations and papers are currently in progress. The third adaptation model is PCIT Adapted for Selective Mutism, PCIT-SM, developed by Dr. Stephen Kurtz. Research has shown that PCIT-SM significantly increases children's speech. PCIT-SM has 2 phases. First phase, CDI phase, is similar to standard PCIT, but with added emphasis on reflection and praising on the child's speech. And there is an additional don't skill, which is to avoid mind reading. The second phase is VDI, verbal directed interaction phase. Parents are taught how to ask questions that encourage a child to speak and how to respond according to the child's responsive. The distinctive feature is a therapist gradually fading in and parent fading out so that the therapist directly engages in play and activities that encourage the child's vocalizations. The treatment extends beyond the playroom to exposure practice in stores and parks, and we use contingency management like stickers and prizes to motivate speaking. Due to the time difference with Japan and US, the training for PCIT-SM was led by Dr. Melissa Gilio and Dr. Daisy Geddes in Hong Kong in August 2022. A post-workshop survey indicated that while participants recognize cultural differences such as making eye contact and asserting oneself, 90.9% felt PCIT-SM would be useful in Japan, and 72.7% responded that PCIT-SM will not need major adjustments. The points for adjustments included several terminology issues and methods of collaboration with educational institutions. Our entire team has completed 11 cases, and focusing on the 4 cases in our clinic, the average number of sessions was 35 in total. The BDI phase was longer than PDI in standard PCIT, which was average 25.5 sessions. And one case with comorbid generalized anxiety disorder received medication midway through VDI. Preliminary results on the Japanese translated SMQ average total scores showed an increase of 0.53. And given that a 0.51 improvement indicates a high effect size, our initial data is very promising, and improvement trends were suggested across home, school, and social settings. We intend to increase the number of cases and continue to verify the effectiveness in Japan. In summary, we are very grateful that the PCIT journey in Japan has resulted in the certification of over 50 PCIT trainers and over 80 certified therapists, and the successful integration of multiple specialized PCIT adaptations. We are truly grateful for the cooperation of the international PCIT community. Each adaptation model is showing promising results so far. However, this journey has required significant effort. Due to language and cultural differences, significant time, effort, and costs were required for the translation of materials, which was often done in 2 stages. Our next challenge is to explore a sustainable long-term approach for training and implementation. We aim to conduct further evaluation of the effectiveness of the adaptation programs in Japan. Finally, I want to express my deepest gratitude. None of this would be possible without the international cooperation and continuous support from the many trainers and experts who have collaborated with us. Thank you. ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for the presentation. That concludes our 4 presentations, but I will see if there's any questions for presenters from Japan. If not, this will conclude our presentation. We are scheduled to have 10-minute break. So 10 minutes after 11:33 in our time. So 10 minutes, we'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Uni, our chairperson, and thank you to all the presenters from the second block. Yes, so we will resume at 11:33 Tokyo time. See you later. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Next, we will proceed to the discussion section. It's my great pleasure to welcome the President of PCIT International, Dr. Larissa Niec. Larissa, please lead the discussion. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, everybody. That was amazing. The number of great projects that we got to hear about in such a short time. And I'm honored to talk about them for just a short while to kind of bring everything together. As I was looking at the slides prior to the conference and now listening to the speakers present, there were some key themes that really stand out. But first, one thing that I think is remarkable, and that is something that I've seen in the 30 some years that I've been doing PCIT research and also treating families and training therapists, both in the United States and internationally. And that is how well PCIT it can be transported across cultures. And every time we get together and talk about these projects that are being done around the world, it just really strikes home how much that even when we look at PCIT across cultures with very different parenting styles, that we find consistently strong effects. Even when we're looking at standard PCIT before there's been any kind of adaptation. And, for example, just thinking of the meta-analysis that was done with Korean families and looking at how consistently strong those effects are, looking at the RCT in Australia, in Hong Kong, and seeing how effective those are. And that is really down to the foundational elements that are the core of PCIT. In PCIT, we're working on one of the most foundational components of development in human experience, and that is the caregiver-child relationship. So when we improve the parenting environment, the parent-child relationship, we are increasing the positive trajectory for that child. And that is something that is, a universal truth that caregiver-child relationship is core to development. It's also because of coaching, right? So PCIT is transportable because coaching allows us to tailor our targets for each family in front of us. And that helps us to cross differences in cultures because we can tailor to the needs of a specific family, to the issues that are relevant to the family within their own culture. And so I think these are our core components that help us to make PCIT transportable, and that continues to be reinforced every time we get together with a group and talk about our research internationally. But moving away from that one, big like core foundation of everything we do when we're doing PCIT research, I was really struck by three key themes across the 8 presentations that we heard from today. And I'm just going to mention these 3 themes just for things to think about. I think they really crossed over a lot of the presentations, and I think they're very timely to what we are looking at in kind of greater world situation right now and what it means for families in our societies, again, globally. So the first theme that I observed that crossed a lot of our presentations is the universal experience that access to care is a problem, right? So Most children who are in need of mental health services are not getting them. We heard from the wonderful team in Australia about problems with access. We heard from the teams in Hong Kong. We heard from Korea, looking at the needs, the increasing mental health needs of children in Korea post-COVID, right? These are experiences that I think we can find really whatever country you are in. I have not yet read anything in any country or region that says that, yep, everybody who needs mental health services is getting them, right? That's just not happening. Access is an ongoing critical problem. And so figuring out solutions to those problems, like what our colleagues in Australia are working on and doing more group PCIT, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. I've been doing group PCIT for many, many years. That is a creative way of reaching more families in a shorter period of time, decreasing our wait lists. And in Australia, looking at reaching out to families earlier, right, before the problems become diagnosable, become too severe. So this is a universal experience. Access to care is a problem. We need to increase access. And I think conferences like these, where we're sharing our creative solutions and can talk with each other about solutions, I think really just critical at this juncture. We need to figure out how we can reach more families in need of services, no matter what country that you're in. Second theme that struck me is the need and the increasing effort that is going into being able to provide treatment that is culturally responsive and also provided through an equity lens. And this really is a great thing to see, especially right now. But the great work that's being done in New Zealand, in Hong Kong, looking at ways that we can tailor PCIT, changing language, aligning with the beliefs and values of the culture where PCIT is being presented, also in Japan as well, can really help with engagement and retention as well. So great to see these efforts. Hope that we continue to see that grow as well. And related to that, my third theme that came up several times among our presentations, that is the need for an increased evidence base for our adaptations. So a lot of adaptations in PCIT, always growing. Probably, I don't know, maybe half of our presentations tonight, maybe more, no, more than that, talked about adaptations. But also there was a recognition, especially from our colleagues in Korea, talked about the need for a better evidence base. And it's so true. It's so true. If we are changing the evidence-based protocol of PCIT, then we need to know what those changes are doing. And we need to be careful and resist the temptation to disseminate before we evaluate, right? If we come up with something and it looks really pretty and it looks really good, but if we don't look to see if it's effective, as effective at least as our standard PCIT, then we could be doing a disservice to the families that we serve. And they may not be getting what they need, or getting something that's as effective as standard PCIT with more than 45 years of research behind it, right? So I was struck, for example, there's been some good and increasing research on PCIT toddler really led by the work that's going on in Australia. And that's so important because there's a lot of changes in that adaptation, and we don't know what all those changes do for effectiveness and for maintenance, right? In New Zealand, the great team there, Tanya, and you mentioned that there's a need for more evidence. It's true. The older child protocol is not evidence-based at this moment. It's being used quite a bit, but there's really no rigorous research. There's no peer-reviewed research out there that supports it right now. So that's concerning. We need to keep increasing these evidence bases, especially where we have adapted something outside of the standard, where it's gone beyond tailoring and really adapted. I include myself in that discussion because I am very interested in adaptations to increase access to care or to address issues that PCIT was not originally developed for. So, for example, PCIT Health, our wonderful colleagues in Japan mentioned that we're starting to implement PCIT Health in Japan and going to be collecting data so we can see that it does do what it is supposed to do. So I'm going to leave you with those thoughts, but I really appreciate the time that everybody has taken and that you've given in your careers, in your clinical work, to continue to support PCIT so that more families can receive it. And I look forward to continuing these conversations. Look forward to hearing about some of these. I heard that we're going to get more data come September. So I look forward to that as well. And I thank you and wish you all the best with your ongoing research.
Yes, thank you, Larissa, for your insightful discussion. Okay, we will now have the closing remarks from Dr. Susan Morgan from Australia, who is the former chair of the International Development Task Force. Okay, Susan, please proceed.
Hey. Thank you. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Oh, good. I just wanted to congratulate especially our hosts at PCIT Japan, as well as all the presenters, organisers, and all the behind-the-scenes people who have made this wonderful mini-conference possible. Your dedication is what allows us to learn, to connect, and to be inspired. Thank you for creating this space where ideas can be shared openly and where we can reconnect with the purpose that brought us into PCIT. The power of connection is not just between parents and their children, but amongst ourselves as a global PCIT community. A big thank you to all of you for your passion, your generosity, and your commitment to children and their parents. Let's keep learning from each other and building brighter futures for families worldwide. I look forward to having another international mini-conference in 2027. It's been a wonderful morning for us here in Australia, so thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Susan. Okay, so that concludes our mini conference today. We appreciate you all taking the time to participate today. And please take a moment to complete a post-conference survey after you log off. Okay, and thank you again, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, PCIT Japan, for hosting this conference. Did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much for all the work.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Well done.
Bye.
Good job, team. Really exciting. Thanks again.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank
Good
you.
night and have a good
Bye.
day. It was good to see you, Susan.
Yes, you too.
I missed you a couple of meetings, so I hope you're
Yeah.
well.
I'm not much better. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good day. See you.
Okay, bye.